welcome to the Two Steps Back podcast with me, your host, Dave Christie. This podcast is going to challenge you. This podcast is for small businesses looking to grow, looking to drive, and looking to share information and learn new things. Each week, we're going to learn a new topic. We're going to talk on a new subject, and it's going to come directly from business out there today. We're going to share that advice together. So if you're sitting comfortably, let's change that. Trade shows. What a minefield they can be. Having been to just over 200 in my time, I still don't know whether I have the right answers. But I have picked up a few little hints and tips along the way, and I have worked with some incredible people who've shared some great advice. So this week's episode, we're going to dive into trade shows, how to make the most of them, and what you need to think about when you're doing them, when you're at them, and what to do afterwards. First of all, do you need to go to a trade show? You see a lot of people going to trade shows and may think, that's something I need to do. But again, I want you to take those 2 steps back from your business and think about, do I? Is that right? Take those steps back again. Who is it you're trying to talk to? Who is your customer? What is the message you're trying to offer? And most importantly, is that customer going to be at that trade show? If the answer is yes to all of those, then a trade show's for you. And if they aren't, don't worry. It doesn't have to be for you. Keep listening, because there's some many little hints and tips along the way here that's not going to help just at trade shows, but also may help you when it comes to email marketing, engaging with customers, and attracting that initial conversation. But let's start with what to do. You've now decided that a trade show is the right thing for you. You need to pick the right one. So now think about the locations that you're working with. Google, again, is a wonderful thing. Also, utilizing TikTok to search trade shows. If you don't know if there's any locally, utilize those search platforms to type in local networking events, national networking events, national trade shows, wherever it might be. There's normally links to several of them. And then you can start looking into some of the reviews and some of the feedback that is there, looking at who has exhibited previously to make sure that it's the right show for you. Maybe start small to start with at a smaller show so that you can get yourself comfortable with what needs to happen when you're at a trade show and what you need to do and how you feel around them. You can trial things out before you maybe put more money into maybe something of a larger scale. Or you may want to just stay regional. There are a plethora of regional ones. We're in Cheshire, obviously. I can think of probably 30, 40 regional trade shows that offer something different to all visitors and stand holders and businesses. So you need to think about, again, what it is you're looking out for, what other businesses might be there, and what the engagement is going to be for you. Mainly, and always, as we always talk about, starting with what your goal is. If your goal is to go to a trade show to get 30 new customers, is that realistic? I'd probably say no, especially at a regional one. And I would also think about the fact that if it was your first trade show or second trade show, you may not have built up that trust yet or that awareness of your business and your brand that's going to get those customers. So now we need to look at what is reasonable. Think about what is a realistic goal. For me, in a first trade show, I was speaking with a recruitment company a few weeks ago at a trade show over in Knutsford, and they just wanted some awareness. That was their goal, was to ask as many questions as they could of small businesses, find out really what their needs were, what the needs of those customers were, what size business they had, so they could start to correlate a bigger picture and a better strategy moving forward when they didn't have people in front of them to talk to. What a fantastic, fantastic goal that was. And they did very well at it. On that same show, at the stand next to them, was another customer who had been to many shows. They are a show veteran. They get most of their work through shows, and that one-to-one, face-to-face experience is vitally important to them. So for them, their goal was simple. They wanted to convert 5 customers. They'd invited about 20 people. Some of them were existing customers, and some of them were customers they have proposals out with. This was the seal the deal moment. So they wanted to convert 5 customers. They wanted to get 5 to 10 warm leads and maybe 2 red hot leads from the show. Again, for them, a really obtainable target and something that was very achievable. Now, actually, as it happens, I asked them at the end of the show, they hadn't quite achieved that. They'd achieved 4, I think it was, the conversions, and they had 5 good leads, and they had 1 red hot lead. But they were happy, and they were able to measure that because they knew what they wanted to achieve beforehand. They'd quantified it to make sure that it was realistic, and they'd set the whole day up around that before, the during, and the after. This is what you need to think about for your business. Make sure you have those obtainable goals. Once you have those, what's next? Well, you've signed up for the show now. Congratulations. Now the work really starts. We need to think about our stand. What are we going to do with our stand? What's the message that we want to portray? What does our branding look like? And what do we need on there? I go to lots of different events and see so many different varieties of stands, stalls, and from big shell schemes to built, custom made, to pull-up banners and a trestle table. There's a lot to be said about the pull-up banner and trestle table effect, because it means it's more about you and less about the stand. And I love that authenticity. But what does that message need to say? What is it you're trying to get out of people? And what's that one thing that you think people are going to look twice at? They're going to look at your banner, they're going to look at your stand and think, that's somebody I want to have a conversation with. I try and make the banner really clear and concise. I try and make sure you're talking to your ideal customer and maybe thinking about a pain point that somebody might have that you can solve. So if it's a social media company, maybe as an example, you might want to put something up along the lines of, are you getting leads from your social media? Or are you growing your social media? Do you know how to grow your social media? We do. Something that's going to grab their attention, something that's going to get an emotive response. So if you've gone out previously and you've asked different businesses and you have an understanding of your customer base, what are the things that they're most looking for so that you know what that problem is that you solve? Make sure that's the thing that you lead with. A lot of people try to be clever and quirky, and it doesn't land because people don't understand you or your business at this stage. So actually think about keeping your message really simple, really concise, and again, come round from the table. Think about if you were a visitor, take those steps back. What would turn your head? What does that person need to see? Now they've seen that, and now they're heading to your table. What's on your table? We have a lot of merchandise everywhere on tables. I've seen cupcakes and chocolate and stress balls and, very cleverly, a few weeks ago, fans to keep you cool because it was a really hot day, which was a really nice touch. But try and think about this. You don't need to spend a penny. Sometimes, actually, just the cost of the stand alone is pretty expensive. So 2 pull-up banners, you, and something for people to take away with them to remember you by, and what that core message is and how you can help them with potentially some kind of show offer. We'll come on to offers later because it needs to have more for more. Make sure that you have something that you can take away. That's it. That's all you really need. Something that's going to get their attention. Then you can talk to them, and then something for them to take away. Also, something for you to capture their details so that you can follow up afterwards. But most importantly, you should be trying to make sure that if that's somebody that you want to talk to, that you get their attention and you get that meeting in while you're at the stand. Again, pause there a second, come back to the table. If you are going to get some merchandise, if you are going to get some giveaways, make sure it's something that's relevant. Don't just put the usual out. Yes, everybody loves a pen. And I believe the stat recently that I heard was people will use a pen up to 6 times before it gets thrown away. Actually, it may be that it gets passed about that amount of time as well. So actually it does resonate. But people I see will put their logo on and not a phone number or not a website or not the strapline or the thing that can help them. So it just becomes a pen. So if you can't get your right messaging on there, then maybe that's not the right option. A notepad for me as a business coach, I have a little printed out task sheet. So I have a little task notebook that people can use that they can write their tasks for the day on, and then they can write some notes around that. I also have an accountability calendar there's a simple A4 sheet that's printed out that allows people to track their monthly tasks, their monthly goals, and track daily some of their progress. It's a little tool that they can have in their hand. It's as simple as that. It's the cost of a printed out bit of paper and a little bit of design work. It doesn't have to be bells and whistles. You need to rely on the one thing that's the most important there, and that's you and the message that you're trying to give. But when you're trying to give that message, actually, it's a trade show. You haven't got lots of time to speak to people. There should be a flurry of people coming from your stand all day long. So making sure that the message that you're telling people is right is also as important. Now, listening. That's the important piece. Asking that opening question that gets somebody talking about their business. Not just the usual, how was your day? Busy show. What's the weather like outside? How are you finding the show? Those are lazy questions. And there's my challenge to you. This podcast challenge will be about asking that right question. What is the question that opens up your customer to give them the right level of information for you to listen to understand their needs? We're not talking about rocket science questions. We may be talking about simply, what kind of clients do you work with? Who's been your best client recently? What is keeping you busy within your business at the moment? How did you get into business? These kind of questions, which also come into networking questions, which is a podcast that we'll deal with down the line, are really important for you to gather that data. Every touch point that you have with somebody else is gathering that data so that you can understand them more, and so that when you want to put a proposal to them, it fixes and sorts their problem. Not a problem, not a generic problem, but their problem in words and terminology that they understand. So ask the right question to gain that information in the shortest amount of time and find somewhere to store that. Maybe you write something down. Maybe you ask them to fill in a questionnaire to win a prize or to enter a draw for a free session. Remember, a prize for a free session or a free service or a free product works fantastically well, because hopefully you can then ask them for a review or a recommendation or a testimonial that adds additional value as well. So it's a more for more. Get that information and make sure you store it. Then when you go and think about the person you're talking to, and you think to this person is somebody that you can help, somebody that you've resonated with, somebody that you've got on with, book that meeting now. Get that in the diary today. They are speaking to a plethora of people around that trade show and around that event, and they are going to forget you with all in good intentions. We've all done it. We've all done it. Yes, of course. I'll send you an email next week and we'll get something in the diary. And of course, the moment they walk out the trade show, they've been there all day. The inbox is full. The kids need picking up. They've got something else to do afterwards. They've got to catch up with all the work that's got to go on. And suddenly you're further and further and further down that list. So if it is important, do not put it off. Ask them there and then. We've all got our diaries with us at all times, or our phone. Can I get a meeting in the diary with you today? Can I book some time in with you for next week? I'd love to pick up this. It shows them you're interested. It shows them that you have intent and that you are somebody of integrity. And then also you have a way of saying to them, I will follow this up with an email to confirm a venue or to confirm a location, so that when you are following up as promised rather than just following up. And we'll explain why we don't say that word, following up, later. So get it in the diary. Make sure that you do that. Hold yourself accountable. You might feel uncomfortable. You might feel it's a bit awkward, but it is definitely the right thing to do. And if they're interested too, they will want to put it in the diary. So sometimes we think people are interested and they're not. When they say, oh, I haven't got my diary with me, they make up some polite excuse. They say, can I take a card? And they go on their merry way. That is the feedback to you 9 times out of 10. They're not interested and they were politely declining. Move on. Maybe send them a email after the event, but don't cling on to them. We cling on to things for too long. Read the signs and know that that is somebody that's saying no, and move on to the people that are saying yes. Repeat that throughout the day. If you need to go to the break, go for a break. If you need to go outside for 5 minutes, go outside for 5 minutes. A lot of people think and worry about what they're going to do if they're on their own and they leave their stand. Bring a note with you. Bring a printed out note that says, I'm back in 5 minutes. Please scan a QR code to book a meeting, or please take a business card, or whatever it might be, so you're still talking and communicating with them even when you're not there. And now the follow-up. The follow-up's really important. So making sure that you take a picture of yourself on the stand so you can send that back as an email, send that as an emotive engagement point that you can remember them. And now's the point when you were listening. Mention their dogs that they talked about, mention their partner or the event they were going to, or their customer or the client that was keeping them busy, and continue the conversation. It's not a new conversation. You need to continue it. So as promised, please find attached the diary invite. As promised, please find attached the PDF. As promised, please find attached the details I've said I would give to you. Instantly, you're building that rapport. Instantly, you're telling people that you're trustworthy, and you are showing them that you're doing what you said you were going to do, and you're providing them with that information. They're much more likely to read that email. Again, take those 2 steps back. How many emails have you received that you've got 2 lines in and got rid of, skimmed over and haven't read because you didn't see the value? So make sure you capture that value right at the end. And that's it. They are the hints and tips that we've built up. There are a lot more. And if you want all information, you know where we are. You can hit us up in the comments below and ask any questions. If you've got any extra bits of advice as well, we'd love to hear them. This is not the be-all and end-all. There are lots of other little nuances and things that we can do. And as I said, pick the bits that work best for you. Go and enjoy it. And that is my number one last piece that I'm going to stick with and leave you with for today. Enjoy it. Have fun. I always say a trade show is 50% you and 50% theatre. So make sure you put on a show. Till next time. Thanks very much to listen to the 2 Steps Back podcast. I've been Dave Christie, your host. And as always, please do like, share and comment below if you would like to find out more information, ask any questions, or share this with people that you think would benefit from it. We'd be greatly appreciative of it. A lot of work comes into these podcasts, a lot of data, a lot of research, and hopefully the more people that we can help and support, the better it'll be for everybody. We need to rise everybody up together. Thank you.